check out this bucket of copper, people. Check this thing out. It's Wednesday, April 6th. It's probably been about a week since I put out a video, but man, this is just beautiful. Had to do a little talking. So this is gold to me. This is like 5 gallons of copper wire. It's all stripped. It's probably, I don't know, 40 pounds, 50 pounds maybe. And this is what I'm working with here. Some old wire that the electricians took out when they rewired this apartment. And I got some stuff that's not worth stripping right here. But I did cut off the connectors because a lot of these have gold-plated pins on them. And I've just been taking all kinds of stuff apart lately. Actually, I did most of this Saturday and Sunday. This is a cup full of brass, little connectors and screws and things like that. I got a bigger bucket of brass over here. This is mostly some plumbing parts. But in this bucket, 10 pounds maybe. This stuff, brass is a few dollars a pound, you know? And these old silver looking pipes and stuff, you gotta check them. You gotta scrape off some of the finish here. It's hard to tell, but I scraped this off. It's definitely brass under there. Here's an old faucet. You could tell right there looking at those threads. This is brass. It's a little corroded maybe. I don't know if I'm gonna have to maybe melt this stuff down and clean it up. This is brass. I know it looks silver. It's plated with something like chrome or tin or something like that. So you can check this with a magnet and that'll tell you. But you gotta scrape it. I don't know. You know, I thought this was brass at first. I think this might be brass plated aluminum, actually. I was just saying, you gotta check it and scrape it. Let me see. Looking for a knife. Oh yeah, check out what I got here, man. I got some tools. Here's the bag of trash. This is all the insulation I stripped off of the wire. I got a trash bag there that's about half full of that old wire I'm still stripping. There's some fan motors. You gotta save your electric motors because they're worth money. They got that copper wire up in them. Oh, there's a knife right there. Okay. Here's some other copper bits I kind of got to go through. This one's obviously not, but it's got some copper on it. So these are from taking apart old fuse boxes and light fixtures and things. That's what that's from. But let me see here if I can scrape some of this off so y'all can see what I'm talking about. Usually the finish isn't that thick. It's not that deep. Let's see. Yeah, you know, I feel like I can see some silver metal under there. So this is probably just plated aluminum. I got all excited when it wasn't magnetic, but that's definitely some silver metal under there. So this is aluminum. Here's my aluminum bucket. It's actually aluminum and pot metal because I'm not sure what all. Like this right here. This is from a kitchen sink faucet, but I don't think this is aluminum. It feels a little bit too heavy, and I don't know, you handle enough of this stuff and some of it just doesn't feel right. So I'll go do it later. But here's like some solid aluminum rods. There's a piece of plate aluminum. And you actually got to sort all that stuff out too, because the scrapyard is gonna want like your plate aluminum and your siding aluminum, and like if you save the aluminum foil off of your casserole or soda cans, if you don't live somewhere that gives you a good deposit for them, like I don't know, I think Maine or I think Michigan, they give a decent deposit. But let's take these over here, put them in this bucket. Alright, so tonight I'm gonna be stripping some of this wire, and some of it's already been done for me. But this stuff, I wanted to talk about the copper primarily because this is kind of like the new gold for the poor man. And that's unfortunate because the money used to be gold and silver and copper. There's a saying that gold is the money of kings and silver is the money of gentlemen, and barter is the money of the peasants. But when they actually had, you know, a tri-metal system, you'd have the gold and the silver coinage, of course, and then the copper pennies or the copper smaller coins to make even further change, because, you know, like a small coin like a quarter is worth about $5 if it's made out of silver. So, you know, what if all you want to get is a candy bar? You need something to change it with. But since they took all the precious metal out of our money, you got people that are breaking into houses and, you know, ripping all the copper wire and stuff, all the copper pipe, if there is any, out of the walls, because that's the most valuable metal that people can come across easily nowadays. And it's about $5 a pound right now. So it's not quite. I think it's $4.70 last time I checked, a day or two ago. And actually, I was just at the scrapyard too, and they're only paying $2 and something cents for clean copper like this. If I just took this wire straight in, it's only worth about 70 cents a pound. And I'm not sure what they'll give me for that. I didn't ask. I'll ask later when I get a bunch of it. But this right here is a savings account. Copper is like the poor man's gold, because like I say, it is kind of the easiest metal that you can easily come by. And then the aluminum, bucket of aluminum over there, that's kind of like the new silver, because it is silver. And then the crap metal, like this, you know, just everything else is, that's, you know, like what copper used to be. That's the pennies. And this stuff literally is like 1 penny per pound about going right now, which it actually is pretty good, because when I started doing scrap metal like 10 years ago, maybe, when I started really trying to do some, this was about a quarter penny a pound or less, maybe 1/10 of a penny a pound. But and you know, you can find it anywhere. So I got an old vacuum cleaner here. Oh man, I'm gonna take this bad boy apart. It's kind of heavy. There might actually be some metal in here. I don't think, the motors usually aren't very big on a vacuum cleaner, so most of the good stuff is actually the cord. That's probably the best part. And I found this old bread maker, which I don't know if it works or not, but what I do, I like to make bread too. What I do is these loaf pans, gross, some nasty leftovers in there. What happens is, if if you look inside the loaf pan and the finish is scratched up, then it's junk. It ain't no good. Because you want the loaf to dump out nice and easy, and if it doesn't, well then it's just gonna, you know, you're gonna have to dig into it with a knife or something. That's just gonna scratch it up more, jack it up some more. Here's a couple of old crummy tools I got from my mom's basement earlier. They don't work, she says. This and that hedge trimmer or something. That's my drill. That's the DeWalt drill. That works fine. That works great. Anyway, oh yeah. Look here at this fan motor. All that copper. And they'll give you a weight just for the motor itself. But I think for some of these bigger ones, I might try and cut this copper out and recover it. I don't know, the juice might not be worth the squeeze. But for now, I'm just saving it. It'll be a long time before I think about turning these in. Most of what I do is that bucket right there. I'll put that in my basement once I get a little bit more in there and actually fill it all the way up. Pop the lid on that bad boy and I'll just stick it in the basement. And that's my savings for a rainy day if I need it. And then I just took in all of my other metal that I had saved up, all of my steel, my sheet iron, like this stuff. They just call it sheet iron or tin metal, depending where you take it. You know, it's basically just the magnetic, really, really thin stuff that's not worth anything, really. The penny a pound stuff, that's usually what I cash in, and I will save my copper and my aluminum for later. I don't usually cash those in. Aluminum's not worth very much. It's like $1 something a pound, and it kind of takes a lot to add up to a pound. But you know, it pays a lot better than the junk metal. They weigh the junk metal by the ton, and they still weigh aluminum by the pound. So that should kind of give you an indicator of what its value is. You got other stuff. This came out of a radio or something. This is a copper coil. I think this is a capacitor. I'm not sure. I'm not really an electronics guy. But that's a copper coil with some steel around it. And if you really want, you can break these apart. I've got some much, much bigger ones that I might try and take the copper out of. But this little guy, I've got a bucket full of these. You know, I'll just throw this in the bucket. And I'm sure they've got a weight that's like $1 a pound on this stuff or something. I don't know. It hasn't come to the point where it's anything I gotta look at. I'll probably throw that in the tin pile. Another one of those little doodads. I don't remember what I took those off of. But yeah, they come out of electronics. And when I say electronics, I mean like anything you get that's electronics. Oh, you know what? This is a circuit board out of a TV right here. Probably at least one of these came out of that TV. There's people that buy these circuit boards too. Some of these little doodads are made with precious metals. I don't know which ones, but I know that you can sell the circuit boards whole. There's people that'll buy the circuit boards and process them. They'll just grind them all up because a lot of this solder has silver in it. A lot of these, this one's pretty dirty. Oh yeah, that looks better. And the older they are, the more components they have in them too. That little blue thing there, that's a copper coil wrapped around some stuff. You can see there's some more copper wire right there. So some of these you might pick the stuff off. Oh look, there's one of those things like this. That little yellow guy there. It's much smaller though. So some of them you can pick the stuff off of and try and process it yourself, but I think if you're selling these to people, they want them what they call populated. So that's leaving all this stuff on. Now these little flat microchips, those have precious metals in them a lot of times, but you got to know which are the right ones. All these I think they're called flat packs. This little guy right here, that little shiny one, that is a crystal oscillator, I think is what they're called. And I'm pretty sure they have a decent amount of silver in them. So those might be worth going after, you know, if you're going to depopulate the boards. That right there, that little button looking thing, that is a button. I don't know if you can hear it. That click. So anytime you got like a click or a connector, they almost always have a little bit of silver on it where it makes the connection. So those might be worth saving too. I think pretty soon in the near future, it's absolutely going to be worthwhile saving things like those little buttons for the silver. I think taking apart electronics is absolutely going to be worthwhile pretty soon here. Once the cost of precious metals is finally allowed to go. If the price of gold were to actually reflect the dollars, it would be, I've heard estimates from like $20,000 an ounce to $50,000 an ounce, and then silver should be about a 1-to-10 ratio with gold, so that would be, you know, 10,000 an ounce or something, depending. Right now it's about a 70 or 80 to 1 ratio to gold. Gold is almost $2,000 and silver's like $25. It's ridiculous. Old cell phone. It's an old shaver. These all have like a little electronic circuit board in them. They've also got that wire that's not worth stripping, like this stuff for the, you know, I got a bucket full of that, the low recovery. That might be a low recovery. Now these plugs with a transformer in them, I'm pretty sure they've got smaller versions of these depending on what kind you get, because, you know, the newer electronics, they make everything smaller and smaller. And I know like the older cell phones, the really old ones and the Blackberries and stuff, all of this circuit board stuff, all of these little routes, this one's probably copper or silver for these little routes, but I know that they used to make them out of solid gold because gold is one of the best conductors there is. So that's why the old electronics were so expensive, guys. These plug-ins, I also ripped these off right here, the prongs, because they are brass oftentimes, especially on the old ones. And I think these newer ones, the silver looking ones, are nickel plated brass. And that's the same thing with keys, like a house key. House keys are generally made out of brass or bronze, and the silver ones are nickel plated. which if you saw my other video, you know nickel is expensive. Nickel went up. As of right now, the nickels in your pocket are worth like between 10 and 15 cents, I think. So I've actually been buying nickels at the bank. I got like 50 or 60 bucks in nickels because they stopped giving them to me. Because we have a coin shortage. Imagine that. The greatest, wealthiest country in the world, and we're running short on coins even. Can't keep food on the store shelves. Can't make enough coins for circulation so that people can even buy the stuff. Crazy times, man. Crazy times. I never thought that I would actually see the downfall of the government in my lifetime. The downfall of the American empire. Well, that's not true. I kind of always suspected that I was going to be like in the last generation of people alive on Earth. I don't know. It's just a weird feeling I've always had. Kind of always felt like things were going to fall apart on my watch. So, and that's part of why I make these videos, is so I can help people when the poo hits the fan. Oh yeah, this is like a beaten brass dish. I like this though. I'm not getting rid of this. I think I'm gonna keep it. Let me see here. Is this brass? Yep. Just stick a magnet on it. If the magnet don't stick, it's brass. Or copper maybe, because it looks like it might be brass coated copper. I don't know. I like it. It seems very Grecian. I used to always love Greek culture and philosophy and stuff when I was younger. Something else you can do, a lot of people don't think of, is all of the screws and nuts and bolts that you take out of the stuff that you're taking apart. I used to just put this stuff in a coffee can and dump it at the scrapyard. But I saw another YouTuber who takes stuff apart, and he said he just sells the jars of random hardware on eBay for a few dollars. And I thought that's a good idea, because a useful thing is always worth more as the useful thing, instead of taking it apart and trying to sell it for scrap and having to remelt it down and remake it into a useful thing again. So, it's more useful to somebody, and I think I could probably get more money for the nuts and bolts than I can if I'm just trying to sell them as scrap metal. But, and then, of course, like I say, a useful thing is a useful thing. So I've got stuff that I think I could probably sell on Facebook Marketplace or eBay, so I don't throw that stuff away. I'm gonna keep it. This is a little tea light burner or whatever. It's kind of cool. Actually, I might just give that to my wife. She likes stuff like that too. She likes candles. But here's like a whole bag full of old door locks and stuff. Old antique door locks and latches and hinges. Lock plate. Brass door latch, That's cool stuff. People are really into that retro style, so I could probably sell those for more on eBay than I can on, for scrap metal. Colombia. I don't know what this thing is. It's got this little beveled thing, which makes me think it sits down into something, and then there used to be like some kind of a handle on it. So I don't know, maybe I don't know what the heck it is, but it's probably only $2 of aluminum. It's obviously old. I think I could if I ever figure out what it is, I could probably resell it on eBay for more than $2. So, you know, a couple tips. But mostly, I'm just so pleased with this bucket of poor man's gold here. That's probably $200 right there. $200 bucket of trash that was gonna just be thrown away, you know, except for the fact that I saved this stuff and took the time to take it apart when I didn't have anything better to do. And I always say that earning $5 an hour is better than earning no bucks an hour if that's all you can get. So, I mean, I guess it's just what you want to do with your time. And $200 isn't a lot of money to me, but I mean, that's definitely something. So, at what point does it become worthwhile, you know? So this is $200. All those nickels I bought, that's probably worth more like $100. And that's a big part of building and maintaining wealth, is just taking value where you find it and turning it into more value. You know, you find something that's undervalued and you make sure that you get full price for it. And by the time I actually sell this, copper's going to be $10 a pound or $20 a pound. Just because I'm not ready to sell it right now, you know. Like I say, it's my savings. I'll keep that for a while and I'll sell the junk, or, you know, go to work and get those fiat dollars to pay my bills. And when copper really takes off and when it's really worth some money, then I'll go ahead and sell that, cash in, go on vacation or something. Who knows? Maybe I'll have enough to buy a house or something. I think the price of copper is gonna go up and up and up and up. You know, as long as we have industry and as long as we're making things. But I don't know, that might not happen either, because I am figuring that the country's gonna collapse and the economy's gonna collapse. So, and that's why the copper would be valuable, is because the real money has lost its value. It's not because the copper is actually worth more. The dollars are worth less. So it takes more and more dollars to pay for the copper. That's what's going on. So, you know, keep that in mind. Find the value where you can. And definitely don't throw anything away that's worth money. For God's sake, I can't believe what people throw away. Lots of this stuff that I take apart are just driving to work. I see, you know, the old vacuum or the old bread maker. Somebody just threw this stuff out. And they might not work anymore, and I'm not even going to bother to test them out and see if they do. Well, I might check that vacuum. The bread maker, like, it's all scratched up. It's done for me. I might see if that vacuum works before I take it apart. But I have so many vacuum cleaners already. But, you know, if somebody else is going to throw it away, man, I will absolutely pick it up and turn it into profit for me. I love it. I love this little cup of brass bits. That's probably 2 pounds right there. It's not even full to the bottom of that section there. Well, almost. A couple of pounds, man. That's probably $5 in little brass bits. And when this whole cup is full, it'll probably be $30-$40. And it, you know, I did all that in one weekend, so it's not going to be long till this whole thing's full up. I'm actually out of town right now, so my main shop and my garage is just absolutely full of stuff, and I can't even find my little brass bits bucket. It's buried, but you know, I'll dig it out someday and add that to it. But you know, while I'm out here, I'm working on this apartment, getting that fixed up. While I'm here, might as well carry on the hobby, make the extra money. And something else, somewhere else, you know, these fan motors. I installed a brand new fan right there. I'm trying not to kill your eyes with the light. That brand new fan cost me $40. That was the cheapest one Home Depot had. So those two motors, one of them was absolutely dead for sure, and the other one I had to cannibalize to get some of the electronics out to make this other fan here in the kitchen and this other one here in the main room. You can't see it because of the lights, but you know, I salvaged those fans and cleaned them up and just rehung them. And so rather than spend an extra, what, $80 to $100 on the fans, you know, I took the old ones and I made them work again. That's $80 to $100 in my pocket, because I'm surprised most people have never heard the saying that a penny saved is a penny earned. But it's actually more than that, because if you save it, you don't have to pay taxes on it. So a penny saved is more like 2 pennies earned. And actually, the copper pennies, they've got enough copper in them that they're worth more like 3 or 4 cents now. So a penny saved is like 5 cents earned. Everything's just getting crazy and upside down, and you know, it's important to learn. It's important to learn what's actually valuable and where you can find that value, because you know, when layoffs are happening, when people are losing their jobs and their income and they can't afford to buy anything, they got to save all the money for food and keeping the lights on. You know, what are you going to do? Have you got a backup plan? Have you got something that you can do for the money? You better start saving it right now. You better figure out how to find it where you can, or you know, you're going to be pretty sorry. That's just one man's opinion, though. Y'all have a good night. I'm gonna shut it down before I completely bore everybody to tears.